Once upon a time, there was a man who had the power to possess as much gold as he desired. This man was known as Mansa Musa, who reigned as Mansa, a title equivalent to emperor, from 1312 to 1337 in the Mali Empire, located in West Africa. His domains encompassed vast lands with abundant riches, including 3 of the largest gold mines on the continent. The empire expanded and became one of the grandest and wealthiest in the world. Mansa Musa could literally have all the money he wanted, which led him to be considered the richest person in history. This consideration takes into account the wealth described in the chronicles of the time, which may have been exaggerated to some extent, and the relative value of that wealth compared to present times, as wealth is a measure of purchasing power relative to the prices of goods. Based on this information, the magazine, Celebrity Network, estimates his fortune at around $400 billion current dollars, surpassing magnates like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Furthermore, due to the immense mineral reserves he possessed, Mansa Musa could obtain as much gold as he wanted, as long as he had the necessary time to extract it, making his fortune virtually infinite. Mansa Musa came from a lineage that served the previous royal family as viziers. He was the nephew of King Abu Bakr II and became king after the death of his predecessor. But Mansa Musa ascended to the throne at a time when the gold and salt trade was thriving in West Africa. Mali was the world's leading gold producer and used that wealth to expand its empire and promote Islam. One of Mansa Musa's most famous feats was his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. He traveled with a large caravan of thousands of people and brought with him an immense amount of gold. It is said that he would distribute large sums of gold every day to the people he encountered along the way. Mansa Musa was a devout Muslim, but also a shrewd ruler who used his religious obligation as a propaganda maneuver. According to the chronicles, the emperor's entourage consisted of 60,000 attendants and 12,000 slaves dressed in silk garments and carrying gold scepters. Additionally, there were between 80 and 100 camels, each carrying over 130 kilograms of this precious metal. Along the way, he would distribute generous alms to the poor, and upon arriving in Cairo, he distributed so much gold among the population that its value was depreciated, causing inflation that lasted for over a decade. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage caught the world's attention, and many foreigners were impressed by the wealth of Mali and the generosity of its king. It is said that Mansa Musa's visit was a turning point in the history of Mali and contributed to its growing fame and wealth. His wealth and generosity are also remembered. Mansa Musa is also remembered for his promotion of Islam in the valley. During his reign, he built mosques and madrasas throughout the empire and ensured that his subjects were well educated in the religion. One of Mansa Musa's great accomplishments was the construction of the Great Mosque of Djen in Boku, which became an important center of Islamic learning in West Africa. He also built the Sankore Library in Timbuktu. Furthermore, he sponsored the writing and production of books and manuscripts that promoted the culture and history of the empire. He established trade relations with other Muslim countries and promoted the construction of caravans to facilitate trade. His wealth attracted traders from the northern Mediterranean, drawn by his reputation as a great buyer. In addition to fulfilling the Muslim obligation to share part of his wealth with the less fortunate and dedicating another considerable part to the construction of civil and religious buildings, Mansa Musa still had resources to lead a luxurious life and accumulate large collections of precious objects. For a time, it was the great market of West Africa where European traders went to sell their products with the certainty that they would not return home empty-handed. The extent and wealth of Mansa Musa's empire also ensured that they easily found exotic products. Mansa Musa ruled the Mali Empire during a period of great expansion and prosperity. In addition to his wealth, he was also known for his wisdom and ability to govern his empire with justice. During his reign, Mansa Musa implemented important reforms in the judicial and administrative systems of his empire. He established a legal system based on Islam and created a system of courts responsible for enforcing these laws. He also divided his empire into provinces governed by governors who reported directly to him. Mansa Musa was so famous that his renown transcended the borders of the Muslim world. By the late 14th century, Jews possessed the largest collection of maps representing the world known to Europeans at that time. Mansa Musa was one of the most famous figures in medieval African history. We know relatively little about him, and the closest sources to him are the Egyptian chronicler Al-Umari and the Andalusian thinker Ibn Khaldun, who wrote some decades after his death and based their accounts on testimonies of people who had heard, making it difficult to distinguish truth from myth. Mansa Musa passed away in 1337 and was succeeded by his son, Maghan I. Despite his death, Mansa Musa's legacy endures to this day. His reign was one of the most prosperous and peaceful in the history of Mali, and his generosity and promotion of Islam make him a national hero in many African countries. Mansa Musa was a leader who promoted education, culture, and the Islamic religion in his empire, while also stimulating trade and economic development. His legacy has left an indelible mark on the history of Africa, and his figure is still admired and respected by many people around the world. He was a legendary king who ruled Mali during one of the empire's most prosperous periods. His pilgrimage to Mecca, his wealth and generosity, and his promotion of Islam make him an important historical figure who is still revered today.